Welcome to the Forank Marketing Podcast, where honest conversations, tested tactics, and no-nonsense marketing come together.
Hi everyone, I'm Zoe. I'm the co-founder and SEO expert at Forank. And as always, I'm joined here today with Lee Butchery, who is also a co-founder at Forank and the PPC specialist. So welcome to the Forank Marketing Podcast. Today's episode is all about AEO, GEO, whatever you want to call it, and of course SEO, what these acronyms actually mean, why everyone's talking about them, and where your marketing tactics change or perhaps even don't change to accommodate these new ways of searching. We're going to look at how the search landscape has evolved, how to get generative AI results, and how you should respond without panicking and certainly without chasing that next shiny object, which can be what the AEO, GEO feels like at times. Before we get into the podcast, Lee, what has been going on with you in this last few weeks, months? What have you been up to? You've actually had a very exciting time since our last podcast.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Lovely to be on this again. Yeah, I've had a bit of a busy start to January. I feel like I was straight back into work, and then I had the opportunity to go and see a long-standing client over in Orlando, which was awesome. Well, they're just slightly outside of Orlando, but I managed to get some winter sun, and, seeing them in person was just phenomenal. It kind of feels like a bit surreal when you see someone online for 4 years. And then, meeting them in person was just kind of, are you actually real? But it was awesome. It was so nice. It was just really got me pumped up again for work, I think, as well. How about yourself?
Yeah, that's really nice. You've loved them, haven't you? Did you say how long you've been working with them? Sorry, 4 years.
I want to say it's coming up for 4 years, probably. Yeah, they were first really a client at AS Marketing, weren't they? Which was awesome. I think you briefly worked with them. Did you at the beginning?
Yeah, I love them. Yeah. I didn't work with them as much as you, but they are a lovely company, aren't they? But I feel like you've just kind of fostered a deeper relationship, really.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think as well, it was just, I felt kind of honoured to be invited into their leadership meeting, and actually my opinion mattered, because I guess I'm kind of a little bit ingrained in the business to some extent,
definitely.
I suppose you do after 4 years. But it was really nice. It was so lovely. They are awesome. One of my favourite clients.
Yeah. Oh, that's really nice.
What have you been up to?
Yeah, not quite as exciting as your trip, but I've been on a little holiday as well. So, mine was more both of us actually was what I like to call a workation. Someone called it out on LinkedIn once, and I thought, I like that. So we and Stu went to Tenerife, which was lovely, super sunny. I think 4 hours on a plane. It's the same time zone. I didn't know that until I got on the flight, basically. Yeah, which does make sense, but that was lovely because you didn't have it's only an hour. I usually go to Spain. It's only an hour, mainland Spain. It's only an hour difference, but I do find that hour quite significant. So it's lovely to not have that.
And Tenerife's it's kind of warmish still, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
It's not overly cold, yeah.
No, 20 degrees. Shorts and swimming weather. Had a bit of a situation on the sea, which I haven't told you about. I'm not going to go into it on this podcast, but to cut a long story short, I wasn't rescued. I managed to get myself back to shore. My friends were rescued at sea.
Wow, scary.
On a kayaking adventure, so it was pretty scary. But it will take up too much time, and I'm saving it to give you all the details when we're I think at your house next week, isn't it? Playing board games and having a good catch up.
Yeah, we've got Mexican night coming up. Which would be fun. I saw Sheridan had ordered some non-alcoholic tequila.
I saw that. Yeah, I'm excited for that actually. So, yeah, I've not had any alcohol. Don't miss it. And I'm excited to try this non-alcohol margarita. What a legend to even think about it.
Yeah, I know. Well, Zoe, let's get into the crux of this. I guess this is going to be heavily on you this time, this podcast, but
pressure's on.
I know. It's really exciting time to be in marketing, I think, as well. But I also I guess the aim of this podcast is just to educate people on all these differences, because I feel like we constantly, or at least you, Zoe, get asked, what are we doing for AEO and GEO and all of this with the website? And I guess today's going to really break that down and give some insight and, Zoe's thoughts and opinions. So one interesting fact here is that although AI has kind of obliterated the internet in the past kind of year and a bit. It's really important to note that Google still has the search market share around 90.83%, or that's very accurate, 90.83%. And when we compare that to ChatGPT, Google still has 99.67% of the market share. So like, it's still massive. Like SEO is still massive. It hasn't gone away. And I think really with like the likes of ChatGPT and other language models, like we still have to put good information out there because that's where they're crawling and getting their information from. So SEO is still very important in my opinion. But Zoe, yeah, shall we kind of get into it really? Do you want to define what each term, what AEO, GEO, and SEO really means?
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good way to start. So SEO is search engine optimization, as we know. So that's now falling into this kind of subsection, I guess, of search where it's about traditional blue links on Google. That's kind of how people are referring to it now. So SEO covers rankings on search engines. We say Google more than anything because most search happens on Google, but of course it also includes like Bing or any search engine basically. So traditional blue links, things like knowledge panels, I still consider kind of SEO. And then your GEO is your Generative Engine Optimization. So think about your like ChatGPT, it could be like AI overviews, that kind of thing. So any of this kind of new AI powered search falls under the GEO umbrella. I think AEO and GEO actually are used interchangeably, so they mean the same thing to most people. But I think can be some kind of differentiation where AEO is like answer engine optimization. And I think there's kind of been an effort to kind of define AEO as like the answer engine. So like answers within Google. So like people ought to ask, maybe your AI overviews, that kind of thing. But I think for the purpose of this podcast, if I say GEO, I kind of mean AI search. If I say SEO, I mean traditional blue links, just to keep the definitions clear. Yeah, I would quite like it if the industry just kind of settled on what it all means and we just pick a word for it.
It's funny, isn't it? Because it just feels to me like it's just SEO, given in a different way.
It is, though.
Like it's just shown in a different way.
Yeah, and this is the thing.
I was thinking when people also ask came out, and even am I right in thinking there used to be like a zero spot on Google?
Yeah, featured snippets. I used to love those. They're still there a little bit.
A featured snippet.
You don't see them very often now, but sometimes in other countries they're still like prominent.
Oh, really? So yeah, it just feels like SEO is still, I guess, from my point of view, like SEO. It's just SEO, just provided in a slightly different way. So
Yeah.
SEO still matters, like at the crux of it, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally agree. I'm going to add to that because I think what you've just said is a really important point. Is these kind of acronyms are like separating the search landscape a little bit into like SEO, GEO, AEO, but for like any kind of sophisticated SEO who was doing like what I consider to be like proper SEO, they were kind of hitting, they were not even kind of, they were hitting the points needed for like GEO and AEO anyway. I think what's interesting to me to think positively about it as well, because I think it is quite frustrating for some SEOs when they're being told what GEO is and they're like, no, we've been doing that for like 10 years. Why is this new? But in some ways, I think the GEO AEO narrative is like sophisticating some SEOs who were just doing everything for like clicks and visibility before. They're having to get a bit more savvy now to actually rank because AI has taken those clicks away. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I guess a question then for you in terms of, I guess maybe someone starting out in SEO or someone wanting to sort of maybe just excel a little bit better, maybe just to grow a little bit. Like what would you class as like savvy SEO that helps with AEO and GEO?
So all of your like SEO basics are going to help with GEO and AEO for sure. So it's going, and when I say basics, I mean like the architecture of a site, like making sure it's organized and tidy. Your title tags are going to make a difference. Like keywords are going to make a difference. But I think when I'm trying to separate those two, like if you wanted to like level up your career or know where to kind of shoot for, you just want to be like a better, like well-rounded marketer. So it's not just about getting clicks anymore. That's not really an option. It's as good as gone, or at least like, really high volume clicks. It needs to be more like about serving audiences, knowing what people want, what they're searching for, providing that information on really good landing pages. Like this is stuff we've been doing for like a long time, isn't it? And then also tracking your conversions now. Like with the traffic being like gone or lower, like if you look at clicks 2025 versus 2024, you might actually have dropped in clicks because you've lost clicks for some of your blog content, but you want to be seeing your conversions are way up despite the lack of clicks, because you're getting better at targeting the conversion keywords, or the conversion traffic, I should say.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So in terms of if traffic is down, I guess I'm just theorizing. Is that just because search has become a little bit more sophisticated and that people are more so asking questions, or they're no longer just kind of broadly searching? Do you reckon that's the reason for the decline in kind of traffic?
I think it's more like they're searching for things higher up in the funnel and they're getting their answers either from a summary, like within ChatGPT or AI overview, so they don't need to click anymore. So that's why the websites aren't getting the click. But here's the thing, if you don't have that content covered, you can't even appear in an AI result, even though you don't earn the click. So you essentially give an AI your thoughts, your words, and they summarize it badly normally and serve the customer. But I just think, for me, I don't really ever worry about the things we can't control. Like, we can't control that. And you want to have information on your website anyway, because if you don't, and someone asks an AI something about you and you haven't covered it, it will never just say like, I don't know, or this information isn't available. It will just write something. So you want to cover things anyway.
It's funny because it kind of changes, like, I guess, historically what we see as like a funnel, like top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom funnel. So that kind of really heavy research phase is kind of done outside of your website. So it becomes a little bit more difficult to then try and retarget. And we're definitely seeing that with like paid media as well. Like if you look at Google Ads, like they've changed how they are now doing ads. So, Performance Max has come in, they've got AI Max. All of these things means it's kind of becomes a little bit more like Meta, in the essence that it pushes advertising out to users who it thinks would be interested versus users coming in, because there's that need is kind of slightly shifted.
Yeah, big time thinking about it.
Awesome. So just moving in then. So I wanted to go a little bit deeper into a conversation that we had with a client where they sort of mentioned about GEO and we need to be ranking for GEO. And I remember your response, and it was very diplomatic, I thought. Your response was very much like, you basically said the same as like SEO, but you kind of just like agreed to them to do it. And I kind of wanted to know, like, if someone comes to you saying, I want to have GEO rankings, like what is the answer that you would give? And like, is it important for us to kind of educate people on this as well as clients? But yeah, I just wanted to know what your thoughts were.
So I think what's difficult for the industry now, especially if you're someone who's doing SEO well anyway, and then your client wants GEO, and you kind of think, well, what do you think I've been doing for the last like 18 months? Obviously, we're in ChatGPT or we're in AI overviews and stuff. So I think we're going to have to give in to the word GEO, basically. And I actually put it on my LinkedIn yesterday. Like, I changed myself from SEO for B2B WordPress to SEO in GEO, and it made me feel a bit sick.
Oh, really?
Because I already consider myself doing that anyway within the like umbrella of SEO. But I think clients are talking about GEO, and I think to not use the word kind of makes you look a bit like you're not actually that clued up on it. And it's a shame, because I think a few like hustle bros have ruined it for the many, really. So what would I say? I would lean into it and I would explain what we're doing, that is where the crossovers are for SEO and GEO. So, title tags, good content, heading, structure, having the content available so that the AI can actually have something to summarize. You can't get into the search AI search tools without actually having the content available for them to like paraphrase. Probably making it clear that you are doing some things that are a bit more maybe like just GEO friendly. So for example, AI crawlers and Google crawlers crawl websites slightly differently. So Google can read stuff that's like rendered in JavaScript, for example. AI crawlers can. So you can talk about that. Your website is probably already set up like this though. Like, most people are not rendering content with JavaScript. If you are, it's generally a mistake and a bad practice. So you can talk about things like that. Like I've checked, you can talk about what you've checked against the kind of GEO algorithms, if you like. I think what GEO has done for us is made this kind of like niche targeting more accessible. And I do think smaller brands have got opportunity to move in AI, whereas, you don't have that in Google. So for example, if you're like, I don't know, a service that has a very specific target audience, you can get into AI overviews quite easily just for being very niche, and you don't always have to rank on page 1. So there's that kind of thing. But yeah, a lot of it is SEO, but I think it's about educating clients on what is completely transferable and what is a little bit new. And I'm saying it's a little bit new because it's a slight pivot or a slight maybe way of wording things to help clients feel comfortable.
So we spoke about like what users are doing differently and how, I guess, the user is interacting. Is there anything more you want to sort of like go into more detail there with like how users are using the internet slightly differently and getting their information?
Yeah, that's a really good idea, actually. So I guess before we had like big click graphs, you could publish anything and get traffic onto your website. And then the idea would be that you would like create audiences and retarget this traffic. But what's happening is, like I said earlier, really, the big clicks have gone because that top funnel content has gone. So when I say top funnel, I mean like awareness type articles. What is this? How to that? They've completely gone because your AI summaries will give you a step-by-step guide and you just don't need to click a website. So what SEO and GEO needs to do is focus on like the middle of funnel to the bottom of funnel. And I think personally bottom of funnel more so than middle of funnel, because bottom funnel is where you can really shine. Like, and I've always been big on bottom of funnel SEO. We both have always done bottom of funnel. So everything you do and create should be around making like a sale. So I would get really targeted, really niche. I'd think like sub-service pages. So like for us, for example, we do like SEO, but maybe we want to target specifically B2B WordPress. Like I'm not really going to bother with the broader SEO. And it's a bit like the same way we did like long tail keywords, isn't it? You want to go really long tail on your keywords. But I think we don't have those keywords anymore. We have more like problem, solution, searching questions. And like a lot of people who are trying to get into GEO think too much in keywords. It just doesn't really work like that because they're now having like really descriptive conversations, and people are saying, well, I want to, what are people searching? It almost doesn't matter what people are searching. Like people are searching for anything and everything on Google and in the AI tools. All you really need to worry about is who you can help in the best way possible, and then get really targeted on that audience. And then just by answering their questions, because you'll know what they are because you know your audience, I hope, you'll be able to get them that way. But yeah, people are still coming to websites. I keep seeing these kind of posts about how the economy's dying because of AI and jobs are going to be taken and stuff. And I don't really buy it. Again, we've just got to control the controllable. Ultimately, at the moment, purchases are made through websites, aren't they? So the final click still counts. You just miss the 12 before it. You still get that final click, and that's the one that's really important that you need to track. And when I say click, I mean from AI search or traditional blue links.
I feel like we've gone like backwards in time a little bit, like with searching. I feel like back in the day with traditional like search engines, you'd search for something and you'd have to do your own research. You'd have to open articles. Is this the information that I need or something? And now it's kind of like we're now expecting to just be able to just type whatever we want and the answer just come up within like a second.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like me and that problem versus solution, isn't it? It's like, is the information very accessible for the user that's not gated? There's no, like, they haven't got to sign up to get additional information and things like that. That's where it kind of feels different for me.
Yeah, definitely. But isn't that so much better though? Like how often I use ChatGPT all the time to like early on, and sometimes it's better.
It's daft things like, we've got like an issue or something and you just for the life of you can't figure it out. And I'm like, right, let me just ask. Instead of me having to try and figure out what the issue is and then trawl through, so many articles and that. I love it because I can just normally get an answer straight away, and it just saves so much time.
If you don't know what something is, like with Google, you've kind of got to know roughly what you need to return the right result, haven't you? Whereas, like this is a good example. At Christmas, I wanted to put lights on my gutters. And I was like, how do they even do that? And me and Stu were looking at our gutter, like I don't actually know like what they're doing to keep it. They were like, hey, cable ties maybe. So I like searched on ChatGPT, I was like, how do people hang lights on their gutters? And but ChatGPT was like, Bosh, here's the product. It's this gutter clip, which I'd never seen before. I just didn't know it existed.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
No, you just like clip it onto your gutter, then clip the light into it, and then you just like put it off at the end of the year. Then yeah, I didn't know it was a thing, and like ChatGPT got me there like that. And then I went immediately to Amazon on the link it gave me and bought it.
That's interesting. So you directly bought through ChatGPT then, like, so that's so interesting.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing that so much more now, aren't we? Like that conversion is coming from ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I think that's why, again, then it was so important. Like the information's correct on the website or whatever product you're selling allows for you to appear. Other things that are changing is kind of, I guess it's showing links now, isn't it? But ChatGPT will eventually be showing like products as well, which touches back on what you said about like more niche and smaller businesses. I really think this is going to help those people, especially once product listings come into ChatGPT. I think it's just, again, it's just another avenue. As long as all the information is correct on your website, it literally is another avenue, which technically, from my point of view, it's a free marketing channel.
Yeah.
It's a free marketing channel. I think people need to kind of lean into it and be not against it so much.
Yeah, and also not, don't make it out to be this. And it's not people. It's not clients doing this, is it? It's people, unfortunately, on these kind of like GEO experts. It's not that difficult. Like if you're doing good SEO, it's not that much of a pivot. It's really not. It's like, to be honest with you, it barely even is. But it's you kind of got to lean into it, like I said before.
Well, I thought that, and this is why this conversation between us is, well, and the listeners, but I've always just been under the assumption, because like I feel like I know how you work, Zoe, and I don't feel like you've done anything really significantly different in the past 3 years that you've done now, and you're still ranking in, if you want to call it ranking in ChatGPT and stuff. Like, but I don't feel like you've done anything significantly different in your.
No, not really. Things have been, I would say, tweaked a little bit. So I'd say my language around it has changed a little bit, but that is more because the industry's kind of forced my hand a little bit, I feel, to do that. And I'm comfortable with it. It's fine. And I do think there is a kind of like a mindset shift. And I do think having SEO and GEO does tidy things up a little bit. But the things that have changed are they are tweaks. So for example, if I've got before where I had content hidden in accordions, I might now pull it out because that can sometimes not be available to the AI. That's not always available to Google either. It's worth knowing. So it's not that new either. But like I said, there's a tweak where I used to just kind of like suffer the content not being available in Google, but now because people are searching more for questions, it can be better to have the content pulled out onto the page rather than hidden in an accordion. Probably this is more like JavaScript rendering here as well, causing an issue for the AI crawlers. But I'm not going to tell you to go and do something like put all of your FAQs out onto your page, because the UX is going to be disgusting, isn't it? Like, you still need to think about, obviously, UX is ultimately the most important thing of anything, really. I'm writing slightly differently, so I might just be a little bit more like definitional with my writing. So I don't know, like if I'm going to say like it does this, or, somebody, or like, I don't know, the marketing team, something that's a bit more vague, I might be more specific. So instead of like marketing team, if I'm referring to the SEO specialist, I'll say that. So it's just more definitional. So if someone is writing into ChatGPT, it's very clear who the subject is, if that makes sense. So yeah, that kind of thing. This is good for someone rather than it being more vague. It's a slight tweak to writing. And then a lot of what we see is very much the same, headings, good content. There's I guess there's this thing about like chunking content now.
Oh, what's that?
I'm going to read out the definition from the AI. So content chunking is breaking large amounts of information to smaller, manageable and digestible segments to improve understanding, retention and engagement for humans and AI, preventing cognitive overload by making content easier to scan, process and remember. So to any writer, that reads like writing paragraphs, doesn't it? I mean, that's what people do. I suppose I am making slightly more of an effort to put content into like bullet points or tables where I can, because it is scannable. We've always done that though, like on blogs and content, like any writer has done. It's not new really, but I think I am slightly more like conscious of it now. because I know it's helpful to AI, and I think that will probably make content easier to read anyway, so it's probably a good thing. Google have actually said they don't recommend, like as in, I can't remember who it was on a podcast, can't remember the exact person, said not to chunk content, Google won't like it. And I have seen this like idea of chunking taken to the absolute extreme, where every single paragraph has like, the company does this for someone, and like the company is this, and it's just like, come on, that's not reading well for people anymore, because they're just desperate to get this like chunking in for AI, and it's just crazy.
That's like the extreme though, isn't it? Like you're trying to do SEO or GEO. If anyone's watching, I'm using quotations. You're trying to do GEO for the AI, but ultimately we have to remember these are users who are still using the website.
Exactly.
So it has to read for the user.
Yeah, we're a bit back to like keyword stuffing almost, where it's like, oh, I'm just going to stuff keywords and please the algorithm. I'm just going to make all my paragraphs not flow and be chunked, whatever that even really means, to please the AI. And I think that has never paid off in SEO. It might do for a while, but like the AI crawlers, the GEO algorithms are only going to get more sophisticated. So I always just think, just start off like honestly, integrally, and you'll be fine. And you can still make really good movements in GEO. Like we're seeing that all the time. We've had, we did like our end of year stuff, and with this kind of like honest, brand friendly approach to AI, we're still seeing, like one of our clients had a 213% increase in organic conversions and 20 AI conversions. Another one had a 600% increase in organic conversions and a 200% increase in AI driven conversions. So, you know, it's fine. You can do it nicely, basically.
And I think as well, just for anyone listening, I think even if you're not specifically doing SEO for AI, I think if you even just have a look at tracking what AI has done, I think you'd be pleasantly surprised actually, like to see there's actually naturally an inclining trajectory. We do that well. If anyone is interested, there is a great person called Kyle Rushton McGregor. Go find him on LinkedIn. He has some great kind of reporting tools and stuff for Looker Studio for how to sort of report on AI. But I think even if you're not actively doing it, I think you'd be surprised.
I agree. If you've done good SEO, you've done good GEO, pretty much, basically.
I like that. So, Zoe, then, I think this scares potentially probably a lot of marketers, specifically in SEO. So I think what I would love your thoughts on, like how to adapt your marketing strategy without kind of overhauling everything or being too rash, especially when you see the likes of that chunked content and things like that. Like, how would you do your marketing strategy based on everything we've discussed and what that looks like?
Okay, so in terms of strategy, feel like not that much has changed. You're still going to answer all the questions for them, like all different stages of the funnel. You're going to be really focused on your bottom of funnel and your niche audiences. So I would be really thinking about who can I help, and you want to be able to help them really well. Like you want to think we are the best at helping this person. So for us, we're B2B WordPress. We're really good at that. We could do other things. We could do Shopify. We could do Magento. We could do any other CMS really, but we are the best and the fastest at doing B2B WordPress. So that I'd get really like targeted on that. And if you can get it even more targeted than that, even better, like a specific industry as well, that would be good. And the reason why you're going to do that is because if you can be really targeted, you're more likely to show up in these AI searches. So people are no longer writing like best CRM into Google. They're writing into like AI mode or ChatGPT or whatever, or Perplexity, Grok, whatever they're using. They're writing, I've got a small company with 100 team members working across 5 continents. What's the best CRM company for those people? So, you know, the person targeted like CRM for remote workers or something has potentially the best chance of getting into AI overviews. So you're going to get super, super specific on who you're targeting. You're going to have to accept that you're going to be creating content that's not really going to be getting clicked all that much. So if you write like, I don't know, why does a company need a CRM? for example, you're probably not going to get clicked for that because that would be pulled really well into AI with citations to all different sources. And that's fine. You just kind of accept that basically. That's okay. Writing it still helps you get cited. We've always been big on content not just being for the purposes of SEO. So hopefully you've got an email list that you're sharing this content with people, or you're putting it on your social media channels, because you want to be writing stuff that's generally really useful. Like your marketing team should want to share it. And then I think a big part of it, I mean, there's so much more. Like, it talks about like making sure that the content's rendered. If you answer the FAQs, like just put them at the bottom of the page. And I think that's another thing as well, is if you want to be cited, and this is really important, if you want to be cited in AI, the content has to be available. Like, it's not creating anything. It's like summarizing and paraphrasing content that already exists. And you need to cover it as your brand. Now, it can feel pointless sometimes to brands to cover it. Or perhaps they don't want to have, I do actually hear this quite a lot, they don't want to have like a really long page. But you've got to think about like the experience of the page and the scroll. People don't scroll to the bottom of the page, but you need the information available. Because here's the thing, if you don't write correctly something about your brand, your service, and someone on Reddit says they had a bad experience, like someone says like, I don't know, is Zoe Ashbridge good at SEO? And I've not got anything online about my SEO and whatever. And someone on Reddit said, Zoe Ashbridge is rubbish SEO. She tanked my rankings on my website. It's going to pull that from Reddit, and that's going to be the fact. And it's not going to say, this has come from one unreliable source on Reddit. It's going to say, Zoe Ashford is not a very good marketer, and here's the proof, one comment on Reddit. And that is happening to brands with like pricing, with complaints. And obviously people go to the internet to complain more than they go to like praise, don't they? That's just life.
Sorry to interrupt, but does YouTube videos get scraped for AI?
Well, yeah, so YouTube videos is really interesting.
And sound?
Not so much sounds, but it will so let's say we've made a video and a certain chapter in that video is like, I don't know, how to do a competitor audit, and someone writes that into AI mode, it will provide the video at the timestamp of the most relevant segments.
That's interesting then. So I guess in the description, you need to be making sure that you've got, do you need to make sure you've got your timestamps on there?
Yeah, definitely timestamps.
I was just wondering, just because you said Zoe Ashbridge is a really rubbish marketer, if it's going to be picked up.
Maybe it will eventually. It'd be quite funny if it did happen, then it quotes me. So it was Zoe Ashbridge is slating Zoe Ashbridge SEO. I mean, that's the kind of thing that probably could happen actually eventually. That's a good point as well. So another thing to consider is if you are making videos, get them on YouTube and get them timestamped. And then the biggest thing I think is actually the tracking of it. So yes, track your clicks, track your impressions. We still do. Track your keywords for traditional search, but also track your traffic from AI sources and your conversions and revenue from AI sources, if you can. Lots of people are talking now about like tracking prompts and like where you appear. My current take on this is that it's kind of pointless. It's useful-ish a little bit because you'll know what people are searching, but I don't know. I just feel like it's almost a little bit irrelevant really, because like I said, people are searching for such complexity now in description.
But I feel like that's kind of similar with keywords. You know, people track keyword positions, which I guess makes sense to some extent, but people get so fixated on these like 100 tracked keywords that they miss the picture that they're actually ranking for 17,000 variations of one keyword. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly that.
And they're like, why is this keyword dropped? And I'm like, but it hasn't, because if you're actually doing this, you're ranking. Sorry, I don't know if it's probably that way on this camera, but yeah, you're ranking all the way up, and it's just, you get so short-minded, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I just totally agree with all of that. Like, this is the thing as well. Like, I feel like the SEO industry had moved on from like keywords and search volume to some degree, and the GEO prompt tracking has brought us back to that. And I don't know, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it at all. Like, pay a little bit of attention, but don't get fixated on it. Get more fixated on like clicks and conversions. Because I mean, it's all right appearing in AI, but at the end of the day, like that isn't the end goal, is it? The end goal is to get the traffic to your website. And that's more of like an indicator of where it's more useful. Like you'll almost like naturally appear for like top funnel content because you should be covering it anyway. It's the bottom funnel stuff that's hard. And that's what matters. And that's where your conversions are.
I haven't heard any of this, but I wonder if you have. Do you think AI favors certain sources similarly to like how Google does? So in terms of like authority, backlinks, or time spent on site engagement, do you think AI has that capability?
Not in the same way.
Not in the same way, no.
No. It's relevance. It's really interesting. So I've actually like tested this and I've written articles about it as well. So you can type something into, let's say you type into Google, best CRM for small businesses or something, best accounting software for small businesses or whatever. The traditional results we know are aggregated on like over 200 algorithmic factors, like backlinks, like you said, or even like word count plays a role, like having the title tag in the right place and all this kind of stuff. All that kind of like traditional SEO that we all know and love. You could rank on page 2 or page 5 or even be not even. I mean, I've flicked through loads of pages looking for some websites that are cited in AI and they've not been in traditional search.
Really?
Yeah, really. And yeah, but they've been in the AI overviews because their content was so relevant to that long tail search. So actually, I think for one of the first times ever, smaller businesses can creep up to the top of Google, and that's never happened before. And you know, that's always frustrated me, especially with e-commerce, where Amazon's always linked. You can now potentially get your product up or your service up really high without having all of that marketing behind you. But you do need to get really relevant and really niche. But isn't that really good news, though, for marketers?
I think, and it's, and to some extent, it's like it's taken so long, actually. I think this should have been done years ago. You know, even the fact, like, I see this in PPC with smaller businesses, like, we now have ability on Google Ads to retarget to smaller audiences. We never had that before, and it was really difficult. So I think it's about time.
Yeah. Interestingly, when you mentioned earlier about, what did you say? Oh, yeah, struggling to get the audiences big enough for retargeting. I did wonder if that's why Google has reduced the audience, isn't it? So I need to get less traffic for you to be able to retarget now.
Yeah, and I think it plays a part with what you were saying with less links to the website now because they've taken that over, haven't they? They've had to give us something back.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I feel like we see it with PPC though, especially like PPC now has kind of, if you look at a SERP result, you've got the AI overview and then it's the Google listings. I'm kind of waiting for Google to start advertising in AI overviews. It kind of defeats the purpose of it though. And I'm kind of then wondering where that will go. So I'm not convinced that they're going to do it. There's speculation because we have AI Max campaigns now, which are basically like search campaigns on steroids. I feel like if they start advertising in AI overviews, it then all what we've spoke about now just seems defunct.
Yeah, I agree. Isn't ChatGPT now advertising? I've not seen that yet.
So they've started trialing it with 3 large companies in the US. So
Okay.
yeah, I think it's just the US at the moment that they've started looking at advertising. But the thing with ChatGPT, I was reading this interesting article and the fact that ChatGPT as a service is not sustainable. The reason being the infrastructure, the cost of actually keeping up with it is not sustainable. So it was going to be inevitable that advertising comes into play to fund it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how it will differ. I don't know if it's going to be another platform or whether it's going to bolter onto Google. I'm not entirely sure. But again, it kind of then feels like, I feel like we as people are a bit more, especially a younger generation actually, have become a little bit more technically savvy in the fact that I think if ChatGPT goes in the way that advertising did, I think people use ChatGPT because they want quick answers, but I feel like they want more truth and they're not just relying on advertisement. So I feel like there is definitely, if they do start advertising fully, it's definitely going to be a generational shift or people who will just start refusing to use it.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I definitely think with the younger generation for sure, because they don't want advertisement. They want kind of, I say the truth. Obviously, it's not true sources. It's just scraping information. But I feel like people are using it because they just want to get to their answer quickly. They want some sort of factual information out there. And if it's just going to then just be a case of who's got the most money to get up into this ranking, I don't think people will use it.
No, that would be interesting. I don't know if I agree. I'd like to see what happens. I do think people are sick of being advertised to, aren't they?
Absolutely.
I'd love a little revolt.
I see it with Ewan's generation though. Like Ewan's not really bothered with like the likes of social media, like being on the internet. Like I feel like I've definitely seen the shift. They're more into like, I don't know if it's just Ewan and that, but and his friends, but they definitely, sorry, I'm going off a tangent here, but they definitely are slightly different to like how we are.
Interesting. That's good. That's good.
Cool. So I think we've talked about kind of, we've done the marketing strategy. We've looked at, that's funny. I've got a note on here, the risk of chasing AI optimization without a clear business goal. Zoe, you've touched on this, but I think
Yeah.
it's just really important to reiterate, like the business goal is to still get conversions and not clicks. And I think if you're chasing the click, then you're never going to be successful online, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I would say don't chase just visibility on its own, because actually you're not even going to get a click for that, because the AI will just answer the queries. But I would say, like, what I would say is like, don't chase this like prompt tracking. Like, sure, be aware, definitely, but you always want to be creating the content that brings the conversions and the revenue, and it will come from AI. It's not that like black magic. Like, we're finding lots of our clients having conversions and visibility as soon as the content starts going up. Yeah, it's fine. Have a plan for it for sure.
On prompt tracking, how are people actually tracking prompts? Like, what tool are they using?
Things like SEMrush have got like tools now that look at this, and there are other tools. A lot of these tools are really like, they're new, they promise the world, and they're actually not that smart in my experience. So how it works is, I think that the tools like hammer the AI tools with a ton of prompts to see what brands come up, then like scrape the information. So it's like environmentally terrible, because it's like worthless information and all of this like prompting energy and stuff. What I have found, client of mine was buying these tools that were not cheap. I think one of them was like £600 a month. And like, I can just remember there was this one tool on this tool that compared like your meta description and which one was the best for AI. And I was like, that is ludicrous. That's even a thing. So the client is like, because I know how search works. I know a little about how AI works. I knew just in my like soul what this tool was going to be doing. So I put in 2 meta descriptions, and I think I added a negative word to one, like sad or rain. I can't remember what it was. Like, it was something like a more negative image. And I added like happy and sun to the other, like just completely like drop those words in. I should have put this on LinkedIn, to be honest, just to see if it gave the more positive sentiment the win. And it did. So it's almost, that's a bit like toxic positivity, isn't it? Like, if you write something that's like more visually appealing, the AI tool said that it was the best for AI. But like, what? Who cares? Like, you need to be honest, don't you? Like, honest and take on and best for your audience. So like, it was just a completely worthless tool sold as part of this bigger tool for like £600 a month. So you need to be really careful with it.
That's actually so annoying. I was doing this thing on like unconscious biases, right? Recently, and I've been really interested to see it in like marketing and things, but like I didn't expect ChatGPT or any of these AI tools or whatever to have a bias.
Yeah, no, they have serious bias, yeah.
Why do they have a bias?
Well, because humans are biased, I guess, for one. So it's like learning bias. So yeah, it only puts out what gets put in. So that's one part of it. And then there's the other part of it is like, it's really positive, isn't it? Like, you go and put something into it. And this is why it's so dangerous as well, because it will basically never tell you that you're wrong. And there's been awful examples of that, like where like healthcare is concerned, where it's like esteemed, like really bad ideas. I think even to the point, I don't want to say it, even to the point of like self-harm and that kind of thing, where the tools have esteemed that because that was the positive answer for that particular person.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you've got to be so careful with it, because it will never tell you you're wrong. It'll never tell you anything negative. Yeah, you've got to be very careful.
That is just like a huge takeaway for anyone listening, though. I think all these platforms are great if used responsibly.
Yeah,
Like with anything, but it needs to be responsibly used. And also, as humans, we need to be responsible for the information we're putting out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Zoe. So just to recap then, tips and takeaways. I think you mentioned like thinking topics and entities and not chasing the top of funnel keywords, thinking more of the bottom funnel, writing content for humans first. And I guess your biggest takeaway is probably SEO is evolving, not disappearing.
Yeah, big time evolving, big time. I guess the only thing we've not really mentioned is like the role of like visibility. So I think we have touched on this actually, but it's still important to get up in the AIA reviews, even though we're not losing the clicks, because like decisions about brands are going to be made before they've even seen your website listing in Google now. So we want to be up there. One thing I've not mentioned is like the role of PR now. So I keep seeing a lot of people talking about, right, this annoys me so much, like writing best for type articles. So you and I will go, oh, Lee's the best PPC specialist, and if we put this on our website, ChatGPT is going to just take that as gospel. Like, don't get me wrong, AI can be kind of dumb and a bit short-sighted because it's new, but it's not that dumb. Generally, when looking for best for type content, it's looking for like third party. So as Google always has done. So visibility positively on other websites is going to be really important. Like you want your customers to be talking about you happily on Reddit or G2 or wherever your kind of reviews taking place. And you want, good established publications to be talking positively about you using your kind of like messaging and stuff. Yeah, I think that's probably the main thing. And then also one big takeaway is if someone is positioning themselves as expert, knows all the answers for GEO, and then I would be a little bit skeptical because no one knows all the answers. It's still quite new. We're still learning. The tools aren't that sophisticated yet. They will be. Everything will get better. But yeah, it's all new, isn't it? So just, tread carefully, vet your sources. And there's a really good article by Lily Ray, actually. In that article, she says there's no person more qualified for GEO than someone who's been working in SEO for years because they already know about search behaviour and algorithms. And I completely agree with that.
That's a good point, Zoe. I think especially businesses are kind of chasing that shiny object, aren't they? And I think people need to be wary that a GEO expert is just an SEO expert and just changed their title, right?
Yeah. Well, I think more a GEO expert is actually a grifter.
What does that mean?
Like a grip, they're just trying their luck. They're probably someone wrote on LinkedIn. I'd love to see how many people went from guest posting backlinking specialist to GEO specialist. Like I think the GEO specialists are actually more like hustlers, really. Because I think the honest truth is search engine optimization has evolved and pivoted, and people who've been in the trenches of SEO for the last decade or whatever are way more qualified than anybody to manage your GEO, for sure.
I feel like I've learned so much. Thank you. Yeah, so it's nice to have an episode where you're doing all the talking for once, actually.
Yeah, we've done a couple of your way, haven't we? With ads type stuff. So yeah, well, I mean, I guess I just did recap really. SEO is the foundation, GEO or AEO, whatever is built on top of it. Search is becoming answer-led because people are looking for answers. So you need to answer those where you can, put it in your blog, put it in your FAQs, make sure the FAQs, if they're in accordions, can be crawled by the AI so they're not rendered by JavaScript. Visibility does matter. Like when you think, I use an example like billboards. Like visibility marketing has been around forever, isn't it? And I think AI is a bit like that now. It's a bit more of the billboard. And yeah, adapt thoughtfully. Don't go and try and please GEO algorithms just because it's new. You don't need to do that. Like keep your customer, front and center. And I think the rest will come. Yeah. So on the next episode, we are going to be talking about topical authority, whether or not it's still worth chasing that topical authority in 2026. That should be good. I wrote an article on topical authority for Moz a couple of years ago, and it was like rank 1 for so long. But yeah, I think it's gone now.
It'd be good to recap that actually, Zoe, on the podcast to see if your thoughts have changed.
Yeah, I wonder if it's still there. I think it's probably been rewritten by someone now because it was quite a while ago. It's not on page 1. Oh, it is. Oh, it was 20. I rewrote it in 2023. It's still actually up on page 1.
Yeah, we'll recap that.
See if I can edit it for them because it's 3 years old now.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you all for listening. If you like this episode and want to listen to more, don't forget to subscribe to the Forank Marketing Podcast on all good streaming platforms. You can follow us on LinkedIn and tell us what your biggest question or fear about AI is and the future of search. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Forank Marketing Podcast. We'll be releasing a new episode every month, so don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.